On July 12th, Donnie Swaggart and Frances Swaggart stood before the congregation and officially announced that the funeral of Reverend Jimmy Swaggart would be held that same day. The public viewing and wake were scheduled from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Family Worship Center in Baton Rouge. They also confirmed that a celebration of life service would take place the following day, on July 13th at 6 p.m. at the same location. These events were open to the public, with live coverage available on Sun Life Broadcasting Network. The Swaggart family requested continued prayers and encouraged people around the world to share their memories and tributes as they prepared to say goodbye to a man who touched millions of lives. Jimmy Swaggart's passing has left a deep void in the hearts of his followers, his ministry team, and his family. On July 1st, 2025, he passed away peacefully at the age of 90 in a hospital in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. His final days were surrounded by prayers, faith, and family. According to the family, he had suffered a cardiac arrest at home on Father's Day morning, which led to his emergency hospitalization on that morning during a live church service. Gabriel Swaggart, his grandson, interrupted the message to say, "I'm sorry to interrupt the service, but we need a miracle right now." The news was unexpected and alarming to everyone present. Later that evening, Donnie Swaggart, Jimmy's son, explained what had happened. At around 8 a.m., both Gabriel and Donnie had rushed to Frances Swaggart's house after receiving the emergency call. Jimmy had gone into full cardiac arrest. Donnie said they took turns performing chest compressions while waiting for emergency medical services to arrive. Despite all their efforts, Jimmy Swaggart never regained consciousness. He remained in the hospital for several days. Every update from the family and the ministry repeated the same hope that a miracle might still happen. Donnie told the congregation 1 week later, "I wish I could give you an update, but there has been no change." On the morning of July 1, the longtime preacher, singer, and televangelist quietly passed away. He was surrounded by loved ones. His final moments, according to the family, were peaceful. The man who had spent decades talking about heaven and eternity had now entered that very eternity he believed in so strongly. Born on March 15th, 1935, in Ferriday, Louisiana, Jimmy Lee Swaggart grew up in a poor but musical Christian household. His life was shaped early by both the church and gospel music. At the age of 8, he gave his heart to Christ's decision that defined the rest of his life. In 1952, he married Frances Orella Anderson, his lifelong partner in both ministry and life. By 1955, Jimmy began full-time ministry work. He would travel across towns and rural areas, often with little more than a Bible, a piano, and a strong voice of faith. In the early years, he held tent revivals, preached at small gatherings, and sang gospel hymns that stirred hearts. His mission was simple: preach Jesus Christ and Him crucified. As time passed, his voice and message began to reach further. In the 1980s, Jimmy Swaggart's ministry experienced explosive growth. His weekly sermons were being watched by over 8 million viewers. His preaching was known for its energy, sincerity, and emotional power. With his piano playing and singing, he connected with both young and old audiences alike. His sermons and music reached homes in over 100 countries. He sold more than 17 million gospel music recordings, many of which are still played in churches and homes today. Some of his most well-known songs include "There Is a River" and "Jesus," "Just the Mention of Your Name." These songs, often performed during his live services, would bring many in the audience to tears. He was nominated for several Dove Awards and Grammy Awards, and his name became one of the most recognized in evangelical broadcasting. Even though he faced challenges and controversies in his public life, his commitment to preaching remained central in his later years. Jimmy Swaggart focused much of his energy on developing the Sun Life Broadcasting Network. This global Christian television network became his ministry's new voice, allowing him to preach and sing to millions of viewers, even from his Baton Rouge headquarters. The network now reaches over 300 million television sets around the world. His campus, the Family Worship Center, grew to become more than just a church. It included a Bible college, recording studios, administrative buildings, and broadcasting infrastructure. The 100-acre facility became a hub for spirit-filled worship and education, in addition to television and music. Jimmy Swaggart was deeply involved in missions. His ministry launched feeding programs, built churches, and trained pastors across Africa, Central and South America, and Asia. Perhaps one of his most impactful projects was the distribution of the Expositor's Study Bible, a version of the Bible with detailed commentary authored by Swaggart himself. Over 2 million copies of this Bible were distributed free of charge to pastors and believers in under-resourced areas. Even as he aged, Swaggart remained active in ministry. He continued to preach during Sunday services, participate in panel discussions, and release new music. Supporters often remarked how his energy never faded. His voice may have slowed, but the fire in his message remained the same. At the Father's Day evening service, Donnie Swaggart, with emotion in his voice, said something that would later echo in the days after his father's death. This network was birthed by God, and it's my dad's vision. We will carry that vision forward. We will not retreat. We will not quit. We will not give up. Following his death, funeral plans were quickly arranged to allow the public to honor his legacy. On Saturday, July 12th, a public viewing and wake was held from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Family Worship Center, the same church where Jimmy preached for decades. Hundreds gathered in person, and countless more joined via Sun Life Broadcasting Network, which live-streamed the event for a global audience. Flowers, handwritten notes, and emotional tributes were seen throughout the sanctuary. Family members greeted mourners, some of whom had followed Jimmy's ministry for over 40 years. On Sunday, July 13th, the day began with a regular Sunday worship service, but the tone was different. It was quieter, more reflective. And in the evening, at 6 p.m., the celebration of life service was held. This event featured music, recorded clips of Swaggart's sermons, and messages from family and longtime ministry members. Throughout both days, people shared memories of how Jimmy Swaggart's preaching had brought them to faith, healed broken families, or given them direction during dark times. For many, he was more than a preacher. He was a spiritual father. The family continues to ask for prayers as they navigate this difficult time. Messages of sympathy and stories of transformation are still being submitted from viewers across the globe. Social media, church websites, and even international news outlets have covered the impact of Jimmy Swaggart's life and death to honor his lifetime contribution to gospel music. Jimmy Swaggart was posthumously inducted into the Southern Gospel Music Association Hall of Fame, Class of 2025. The official induction ceremony is scheduled for September 23, 2025. This honor serves as one more recognition of a man who used music not for fame, but to glorify God. As the services concluded, Donnie, Gabriel, and Francis each shared a few final words. Francis, holding back tears, said, "He was my partner for more than 70 years. We served together, prayed together, and believed together. He's gone home, but I know I'll see him again." Donnie followed by saying, "Dad never wanted the spotlight. He just wanted people to meet Jesus. That was his life's mission, and that mission will continue." Gabriel closed the service with a short prayer and thanked those who had stood with the family through every season. As he said amen, the light dimmed slightly, and the sanctuary sat in silence. Jimmy Swaggart's life was a mixture of music, message, and ministry. His journey was marked by passion and purpose. From small tent revivals to international broadcasts, from one piano in Louisiana to churches worldwide, his voice carried the same message: Jesus saves. Now, that voice has gone silent, but the message continues through the people, the broadcast, and the family he leaves behind.